That was a disaster. My son is in bed. He's got school in the morning. So it's just going to be me here reacting and ranting to that meltdown the Chiefs just had, which is not something you are used to seeing the Chiefs do. Do they always win every game? No, although they win most of them. And it's usually them coming back on teams late to get those victories. And they were actually in position to do that again. But it's the opposite effect. It was almost like what the Chiefs do to other teams is what happened to us today, except for we killed ourselves. As a refresher, if you missed the game or just want to relive the madness, the Chiefs had a 35-24 lead late in the third quarter. I mean, they're up by 2 scores, and really, 11 points, and that should have been the game. We also had the ball in Baltimore territory at that point in the game at the end of the third quarter with an 11-point lead. The Chiefs had no business losing this game. They ended up losing 36-35 for several different reasons. They couldn't capitalize on a couple offensive opportunities. The defense was a complete joke and disaster the entire game, which it has been in both games so far. And to be honest, as a Chiefs fan, that's nothing new over the last couple of years, but it just seems to be regressing. It's absolute absurdity. So we're going to, there's really 2 things I want to talk about and rant about in this video. One of them, the first is just about the entire defense as a whole. I like Steve Spagnuolo, and I like some of our players on defense, and I think what he has been able to do with non-big name cornerbacks is pretty impressive. Our cornerbacks are probably the strength of that defense, and that is weird to say because they're really not that good either. They are average, but considering what he has to work with, I think that's pretty impressive. The rest of the defense is a freaking disaster. The linebackers are terrible. We've got a couple good young linebackers that should be playing better as time goes on, but at this point, they're no help whatsoever. Sorensen and most of the defense do not know how to tackle. They're in the wrong place almost all the time. Tyrann Mathieu only concerned about getting picks. He doesn't want to wrap anyone up when the defender comes at him or when a ball carrier comes at him. The defensive line is a freaking joke. The defensive line is by far the most disappointing and frustrating part of this team. There is a ton of money invested on that defensive line. We've got Chris Jones, we've got Frank Clark. We just signed Jarran Reed in the offseason. Not a single one of their names was called for any beneficial reason in these first 2 games. Frank Clark barely plays half the games. Jarran Reed's name hasn't been mentioned the entire season. And Chris Jones had a good first game with a couple sacks, but by then they were in obvious passing situations. He wasn't mentioned today at all. Chris Jones, this whole experiment, moving him to the outside because Jarran Reed is going to fill the middle, is not working. Chris Jones is not doing near as much from the outside as he typically would when he was playing tackle. Jarran Reed might as well not even be here. He's not doing anything. And the rest of the line is just a bunch of good, happy stories with Tyshawn Wharton and Noddy. And you got a few of these other players that just, they're good stories, but they're not actually doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're supposed to be going after the passer. They're not doing anything. Now, I understand that, Jackson is going to make all defenses look a little crazy sometimes, right? He's going to get his yardage. He's going to make you look like a fool sometimes running around with the ball. But that's no excuse because in 2 games, the defensive line has not been able to do anything. It doesn't matter if it's against Baker or Jackson or anyone else. We're getting no pressure unless we send an all-out blitz. And when we do that, we get burned over the top because our safeties are also not playing very well. It's just a complete disaster. And I don't understand, after this many years, the team on defense has not gotten any better. If anything, it's getting worse. We hear so many excuses over and over and over, and I don't understand at this point what exactly we're doing. What is Steve Spagnuolo doing? Is this a scheme problem? Is this a talent problem? Is this a communication problem? Or is it all of the above? Because it is a absolute disaster on the field. We cannot stop anyone. In fact, we can't even slow them down. You might as well let them score in the first place and get the ball back in Mahomes' hand, but that's something else we're going to talk about here in a minute too. It's beyond me right now how bad our draft picks have been on defense and the execution has been on defense and the coaching has been on defense. There is no way. I don't care if we got world killers on the offensive side of the ball like Kelsey and Hill and Mahomes. It doesn't matter if we're always just trading scores. Usually the Chiefs end up on the right side of that because we have Mahomes and we have the ball last. But if something goes wrong, if there's a mistake at the end of the game, which is what happened today, then it doesn't matter. The point is we should never be in this position. The Chiefs have too good of a damn team to be struggling to stop any team defensively, even for just a couple possessions. It is mind-blowing to me that when another team needs to score, they can do it at will. We don't even put up a fight. We might as well not even be there. But that is not the only thing I want to talk about today because I think everyone knows that the defense is a freaking disaster. The one thing that also is completely frustrating me, and maybe just as much as the defense, is the coaching. And I'm talking about coaching on all the coaches. I'm talking about Andy Reid. I'm talking about Bieniemy. I'm talking about Spagnuolo. The second half play calling, when the Chiefs have a lead, has been a problem for years, and it really, really reared its ugly head again today. When we are behind, the Chiefs seem to have no fear, and we will just go down and score, and it's just no problem. But when we have a lead going into the second, that's why they're so good at coming back all the time. But when we have a lead going into the second half, we always let teams back in. Always. So most of the time, they don't end up getting caught up enough to win the game, but we always let them come back. We had an 11-point lead with the ball in Ravens territory going towards the fourth quarter. We had no business losing that game. We had 3 different offensive opportunities that we just wasted. And why? Because we run the ball on first down like we're told we have to. Like they think it's a rule or something. And we all know we cannot run the ball. That is not what the Chiefs are built to do. That's not what the Chiefs are good at, and we shouldn't be doing it. I'm not saying pass the ball 100% of the time, but come on, use our weapons. Let's move the ball like we have been all day, because they can't catch us if we keep doing that. Do we need a running game? Do we need something to keep safeties honest and keep the linebackers honest? Of course. But that's what a short passing game is for too. You keep throwing the ball to Kelsey and throwing the ball to your flats and to screens. You're going to do the same thing, except for that's a higher, more effective play for the Chiefs, because Mahomes is in control of the ball. The moment we hand the ball off to a running back, we have just lost some of our expected value. Look at the stats. Look at everything the Chiefs do. We actually gain points. We actually gain EV points when Mahomes has the ball in his hand. The second it goes to someone else, the second we hand the ball off, we're giving points away. That's exactly what we're doing. And it makes no sense to me. You got to do it enough to keep it honest. We're doing it too much. It's become almost like an unwritten rule. The other team knows what we're going to do on first down. I know what we're going to do on first down. Everyone in the world seems to know what we're going to do on first down, yet we keep doing the same thing on first down. And then it puts us in a hole, second and long and third and long. I understand Mahomes is good at that, but why should we be living there? Why? It makes no sense. And this really killed us late in the second half because we missed some opportunities. Yes, Mahomes threw a pick and it was stupid. He made a couple dumb bonehead plays today, but for how good he is, he's not perfect, and he's going to try to stretch things and do things sometimes. That's part of what makes him good. If you're not taking chances, then you're not being a good quarterback, in my opinion. I don't like that play, and I think he should have ate that one or threw it away. There was no reason to force that, right? We had the lead, punt the ball away, no big deal. But you know what? That's not even what I'm mad about. I'm mad about the fact that we couldn't move the ball with the run game, yet we kept trying to force it. It was like stubbornness, pure stubbornness. And why Andy Reid, who doesn't even want to run the ball anyways, continues to try to force something that doesn't work is mind-boggling to me, especially when he's got Mahomes and other people in his ear telling him, no, let's do this. We're just going to hand the ball off to the left side of the tackle, right side of the tackle, like we do every single time we run off the ball, and it never freaking works. It just never works, which brings us to the moment of the game where we still should have won this game. As bad as everything went, as bad as the defense was, as bad as we let them back in the second half, like I said, this is something we've seen the Chiefs do before. It's rinse and repeat. We get a lead, we let teams back in, and then we put the game away at the end. And that's exactly what we were doing in this game. No different. Then we screwed up because we got too conservative. Once we got into basically field goal range, we still have 2 minutes left. Just keep doing what you're doing that got you down there. Keep doing little short passes to Kelsey or to your backs or wherever. Just keep getting the ball out and keep matriculating the ball down the field, put it in the end zone, put the game over. It's over. Put the game away. And if you get stopped closer to the end zone, then you kick a field goal. That's it. Why, with all the talent, the awards, the accolades, the notoriety, the fear that Mahomes has and puts in other players, his uncanny ability to win games, why the hell would you take the ball out of his hand when we were down by 1 point with a couple minutes left to score? We should never be handing the ball off at that point. Never. Unless we're at the 10-yard line and there's 9 seconds left and we're just trying to get to the other hash for a field goal. There's no other reason to do it. Then even in that case, you don't do it. Mahomes should hike the ball and go kneel. We should never, ever be handing the ball off in that situation. And I know that's the conversation now, and no one is probably arguing that fact. It made no sense. We were having no problems moving the ball in the air. And I don't mean all game long. I mean, even on that drive, we had no problems. In 3 or 4 plays, we were already in field goal range. Just keep doing what you're doing. There was no reason to do it. And they handed the ball off. The worst thing happened, which was a mistake that we talked about earlier, that fumble, and it cost us the game. Was there a lot of things that cost us this game? Yeah, our defense sucks. That also cost us the game. But the coaching is getting ridiculous. As good of a coach Andy Reid is, and 99% of the time he's out coaching your coach, and he's just a genius. He makes these bonehead calls sometimes where it's just like out of left field, and it goes against everything he is as a coach. Almost like he's trying to prove a point out of stubbornness. I love Andy Reid. I love all the Chiefs players. I just don't understand why the heck you make that call and take the ball out of Mahomes' hand. He's the best freaking player in football. Let him have the ball trying to win the game at the end of the game. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. I mean, it was first or second down? Of course it was. That's when we always run the ball. It made absolutely no sense. It never will. It cost us a game. Is it week 2? Does it really ultimately matter? No. But the Chiefs sitting there talking about 20-0, and we could easily be 0-2 at this point because we played just as bad against the Browns, except for a couple breaks went our way in that game, and a couple breaks did not go our way in this game. You know what? And you play with fire, you get burned. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and that's exactly what the Chiefs did in this game. It's sickening to me as a fan of all the talent that we have on the offensive side of the ball that we handed off to a running back that's averaging less than 3 yards a carry. And it's not even all his fault. It's the line, the play calling. It's just not good. It doesn't make sense. We've become too predictable in the running game. We always have been. Averaging less than 2 yards a carry, and that's who we give the ball to try to win the game. That makes absolutely no sense. That's not how the Chiefs play. That's not how the Chiefs win. And there's not a single person right now in that locker room or in Kansas City that's not questioning why the heck we ran the ball there. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's an important kind of legacy game for Mahomes in a way. It doesn't matter if the long term of the season. Well, maybe, because now we are in second place because both the Broncos and the Raiders won today. And to be honest, I know it's early in the season, but the Raiders look like they'd kick our ass right now. Raiders defense looks better. Raiders offense looks better. Chiefs look like they have no identity on defense. They just look like a disaster at the moment. So yeah, does it have some long-term implications on the season? Maybe. But more importantly, we've been unscathed in September. Andy Reid is, the Chiefs are, Mahomes is. In the same game, he had his first pick in September. We also had our first loss in September. It's also the first time he's lost to Jackson. He's owned Baker and Josh Allen and Jackson. And then one game where Mahomes arguably outplayed Jackson, at least through the air. Mahomes didn't play bad. We were moving the ball at will the entire game. But for some reason, we conserved in the second half and at the end of the game, and we ended up scoring only 10 points in the second half. We were on pace for a 50-point game. It made absolutely no sense that the Chiefs' offense had just died because of the play calling, and then the decisions made at the end of the game is what cost us this game. The defense sucks, but it always does, and we know it, and we hide it. We mask it because we are so good at other stuff, and we didn't do that other stuff in this game. And that's what cost us. That's why we lost. I know if my son Aiden was with me right now, he'd be ranting, saying a lot of the same stuff, but he's not, so I'm sure he'll do it the next time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm disappointed, mad, Chiefs fan right now, but good news is we still got Mahomes. See you later.